All right, Colin, thank you so much for joining today. I'm really excited to chat with you about all things Tourette's, something that is not talked about enough. And I'm hoping that we can kind of lift some of the stigma that exists about Tourette's and just have an open conversation about your experience and all the research that you do in Tourette's as well. So, can you give us a little bit of an idea of who you are and what your experience with Tourette's has been like and what you're doing now in the research lane?
Of course. I grew up in Connecticut. Kind of like my main story is I didn't know I had Tourette's until about 10 or 12, which is pretty common. It's kind of an earlier onset with the symptoms. And I was in band class and I played percussion. So I was playing the drums. We were going, I was trying to keep tempo. I had my music sheet in front of me and I just kept blinking and my hand kept waving and the drumstick fell out of my hands. And immediately everyone just looked at me, obviously. The conductor yelled at me and I was thinking, I didn't do that. I didn't throw it on purpose. And I can't even read my music at this point because I'm blinking. So I go to the nurse's office and I said, I can't stop moving. I'm not meaning to move. So at this point, I was just having a burst of tics that I didn't know at the point. So she was asking me questions. And at a certain point early in, she says, you don't need to be here. You need to go to the psychologist's office. I was very involved at that point with, special needs education and advocacy. So I knew her pretty well. So she was asking me questions and, long story from this short, it took me a long time to get diagnosed. I'm 27 now. So about 15 years ago, there wasn't that much known about Tourette syndrome. And I mean, the research was scarce, if any. So the diagnosis was tough, but after a few visits, it's more like a verbal confirmation with a neurologist of, what are your symptoms, how long your symptoms persisted for. And that's when I got diagnosed formally with Tourette syndrome.